Okay, we're recording this call. Please, if you have a lot of background noise or something of that effect, please mute yourselves. It is Saturday, and I believe it is still June 4th, 2016, and this is the Think and Grow Rich call. I welcome everybody to this call. This is part of the Think and Grow Rich group, private group and the Think and Grow Rich community. My name is Bert Herna. And let me briefly, since we have a lot of new people joining the group, let me briefly give you a background as to how I got involved in Think and Grow Rich. At age 19, I read the book, and like many people, read it once and put it down, thought it was great, but the language was a little difficult to understand because it was written in 1800s formal English. And later on, after my military service, I joined a company called Prudential Financial Services at age 22. And I joined one of the top salesmen there. I asked him what the secret to his success was, and he threw a book at me called Think and Grow Rich. And he said, "I get it." And I said, "Yes." He said, "Do you have a definite main purpose statement?" And I said, "What is that?" He says, "Do you read the self-confidence formula?" And I said, "What is that?" And he said, "Okay, so you've got a lot of learning to do. And so I'm going to ask you all the same question, and you don't need to respond, but do you have a definite main purpose statement that you read out loud at a minimum of 2 times a day, preferably 5 or 10, and do you read the self-confidence formula every day?" And if you're not doing that, you skipped the entire book. Because my mentor shared with me that when somebody reads something, or as he calls it, knowing and not doing is the same as not knowing. So if you read the book once and you put it down, and you didn't create a definite main purpose statement, and you're not reading the self-confidence formula, and you really didn't understand the chapters on desire, faith, auto-suggestion, subconscious mind, mastermind, or any of the other chapters in the book. And that's okay, because that's where we all started from. So at age 22, I met a gentleman by the name of Lou Segro. Lou held a weekly mastermind group in his home. He invited me to join them. There was 20 other people in the group, and each week we would get together and read one chapter in the book. There's 13 chapters, 14 if you include the forward introduction. And so we began to read the book, and Lou was an interesting guy. He made tons of money with Pru, and he made sure that we all wrote our statement out, and before each call, we would have to read our statement. So since I felt that that was very powerful, I'd like to I'll start by reading my statement, which is memorized, and that's what it should be. And if your goals are not this clear, then you're really not going to accomplish them. A hazy goal will at best produce a hazy result. A definite and clear goal will produce a definite result. So my statement sounds like this, and this is based on a formula given to me by a gentleman by the name of Alan Nagel. Alan makes $1.5 million a year. Using his statement, he was able to generate over $39 million in the sales of yo-yos before he hit 35 years old. So he's been doing his statement for over 30 years, and he was mentored by a gentleman by the name of Joseph Green, and Joseph Green was one of 3 people that was mentored by Napoleon Hill. When Alan met Joseph Green was 89 years old and living in Hawaii, where Alan is from. And so for 2.5 years, Alan and his girlfriend, wife, of course now, spent one day every week with Napoleon Hill and 4 other people, 6 people in their mastermind group. And so Joseph Green shared with them not only what was in the book, but also what he had learned from so many years of association with Napoleon Hill, or as he called it, he taught us not only what was in the book, but also what was in between the lines. And the key to reading the Think and Grow Rich is to read between the lines. There's a message there. And so that's where this comes from. This is not a mastermind group that's based on the book. This is a mastermind group based on somebody who is a second generation Napoleon Hill, who was personally mentored by somebody that was mentored by Napoleon Hill. So there's a lot more insight going on than in any other Think and Grow Rich mastermind group that may exist. So my statement sounds like this. It is my birthday, February 20th, 2017, and I, Bert Superman Herna, am so happy and grateful now that I am receiving over $100,000 in monthly residual income from my global enterprise businesses. I easily and effortlessly accomplish all my tasks, which includes creating an imperative important list daily, 20 contacts per day, 10 presentations per day, and 15 new clients per week thus ensuring my success. I experience joy each day knowing that what I am doing is being of service to others and to myself. I am a young, vibrant, handsome, attractive, and super sexy man of action. I am a lean, fit, muscular, 170-pound man that works out at least 3 times per week without fail. I am disciplined, organized, scheduled, responsible, punctual, minded, and laser-focused leader who completes all my tasks. I am a worthy, deserving, gorgeous, and beautiful man that is open to receive all that has been given to me and more. I am a great listener, flexible, understanding, and patient in dealing with others. As a result of my concentrated effort and steadfast determination, I am now experiencing unparalleled love, joy, happiness, fun, romance, time and financial freedom, abundance, peace of mind, and excellent health. I enjoy the unbelievable pleasure of driving my brand new metallic lunar blue with a burrowwood trim Mercedes-Benz SL 550 convertible down the sun-drenched, palm tree-laden roads of Clearwater, Florida. I have saved over $100,000 in liquid cash this year, and everything has been resolved in my favor because I am truly blessed. I am now envisioning daily, planning and organizing for my plan to move to the Clearwater area, Florida by July 12, 2016. Own a luxury $1.5 million condominium with 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, and a spectacular oceanfront view of Clearwater Beach. I enjoy cruising the waterways and islands of the Caribbean in my new white with a black stripe Sea Ray 260 Sundancer, and I live a life of fun, adventure, and travel. By my birthday, February 20th, 2020, I am so happy and grateful now that my net worth is over $20 million. I thank you, God, for it is done.
It is done.
It is done.
So that's what being crystal clear sounds like. Okay? So if your goals, if you're not like that, you're going to have a tough time. You may reach them, you may, but you really will lack the mental discipline, because what Think and Grow Rich is really about, or the secret to Think and Grow Rich, you know, Alan shared with me the secret back in 2008. And I met Alan because there was somebody that said to me, hey, Bert, I know you're into Think and Grow Rich. So getting back to my story, at age 22, I joined the Prudential. I joined Think and Grow Rich Mastermind. My first goal was to earn $100,000 before I turned 25. I did $123,000 before I turned 25. My next goal was to become a sales manager, and within 3 months I was promoted to sales manager. I set a goal then to become a citation-winning sales manager, which is the top 50 sales managers out of 500 sales managers in Prudential. I achieved 48 within a year. I then set a goal to become a district manager. I was promoted within 6 months. I then set a goal to turn around the district agency that I was in. It took me 2 years to turn it around and make it the #1 district in terms of growth potential. It wasn't the #1 district in the company, but in terms of turnaround and growth potential, it was the #1 district in all Northeastern regional sales. I then was promoted to assistant to the regional vice president, and later on was offered a position as regional vice president of the Midwestern region. Decided to leave Prudential, formed my own insurance agency, doing $3 million of renewals each year, renewing at 15%. You can do the math. That's $450,000 a year in renewals. A year and a half later, after getting to that point, I sold the agency and stopped working. And so fast forward, in 2003, I got involved in internet marketing, started developing e-commerce websites, buying products from a little-known website called Alibaba. Started selling on Amazon, eBay, developed e-commerce sites. I had at one point 10 e-commerce sites, 240 feeder sites, and we were doing anywhere between $50,000 to $60,000 a month in revenue on a product that cost an average of about $10, and we were selling it for, at its top end, we were selling it for $129. How do you do that? Well, that's the secret. Provide value. I induce others to serve me because of my willingness to serve others. So that's my brief rundown. I've used Think and Grow Rich my entire life. I was not as committed to a statement, although I always had a statement using the old formula. But there's a couple of things that Alan shared with me, and I'm going to share it with you because I'd like you to be aware of them. If you look at the individuals that were super successful with Think and Grow Rich, you have people like Henry Ford, John D. Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie. And what they all had in common is that they were completely focused on their financial goal. Now, let me first set the stage. If you write down what you want in life, and you will use the principle of autosuggestion, which means that you will read it out loud with emotion. Plain, unemotional words do nothing to impact the subconscious mind. So it must be done with emotion. If you will do that, and you will use the principle of persistence and stay persistent in doing your statement every day, you will then begin to build belief. You see, most gurus have it backwards. They tell you that what you must have is a big why. Okay, the why has to be huge. And if you have a big why, the how doesn't matter. Well, they got the second part right. The how never matters. When you focus on the how, you create disbelief and skepticism because you don't know how to do it. If you knew how to do it, you'd be doing it already. If you had the perfect plan, you'd have the results already. And if you believe that you could make $1 million a year, guess what? You'd be making it. The problem is that everybody has a how. Some people's how is to take their kids to college. Some people's how is to buy a home. Some people's how is to build their own business. Some people's how is to have a great relationship. Everybody has a why. My apologies. Everybody has the why. And really, the how, today, Google, 2 seconds. You can find the how for anything. And if you can't, you can buy it. So the how is never the problem. But everybody focuses on the why. But the problem is, if you don't believe in yourself and in your abilities, or that you can achieve the goal, you'll never take the action. I don't care how big the why is. The only exception would be if I put a gun to your head and ask you to do it. And then you'll overcome your fears and your disbelief and you'll take the action. But once I take away that gun from your head, you'll go back to being who you are. Everybody makes the mistake of believing that the real answer to this, the real answer is motivation. And motivation is not the answer. What Napoleon Hill teaches you is success principles, or as he puts it, success habits. And what Napoleon did is, by 1960, with his alliance with W. Clement Stone, he realized that there was one missing principle. And that principle was the 17th principle. The Mastermind principle was originally not even a principle. It became a principle by the time he rewrote the course in Think and Grow Rich. And originally the title for Think and Grow Rich was the 13 Laws of Success. And later on it was changed. However, please mute yourself with making noise. However, when he rewrote the Science of Success course with W. Clement Stone, he realized that there was one missing element, that the secret that some people succeeded with Think and Grow Rich and others did not was one thing. And he called it cosmic habit force. And so with cosmic habit force, he recognized that the reason that people succeeded is because they did not stop using the auto-suggestion to build the belief in themselves and their abilities. And so when Napoleon Hill says that the price to be paid for earning money is not hard work, it requires no hard work or hard labor. What it requires is everlasting persistence. Where? Everlasting persistence in back of your statement and in achieving your goal. So you must understand what the secret really is. And Napoleon Hill says, when in the first chapter, all earned riches, all achievement begin in an idea. If you are ready for it, then you will recognize the second half the moment it reaches your mind. So we'll get into that in a minute. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to pick on some people that are in the Mastermind group, because we do run a Mastermind group, and it's about 54 people from all over the world: Denmark, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, United States, both coasts. And what we do in the Mastermind group is we first work on getting you crystal clear on your goals. And our statement was handed to us by Alan Nagao, because as I mentioned earlier, what you put down in your statement, what you put down in writing, and you affirm every day, it's not if you'll achieve it. It's really just when you'll achieve it. There is no if. Whatever you say to yourself over and over again will make an impact on your subconscious mind. And as Alan calls it, at some point you will unleash your subconscious mind. And that's what we focus on. And that's why the name of the group is called the Next Level Mastermind Group, because we take people from the beginning level of just getting very clear on their goals, and then we begin to form alliances with each other in the Mastermind group to be able to build a better plan, because you alone will never have enough ideas or enough time to figure out the best plan to achieve your goal. But if you put together a group of people who are like-minded, And the number one like-minded thing is a money consciousness. So if you have a belief system that money is the root of all evil or any of those nonsense beliefs, you need to change your attitude real quick, okay? Money is the fruit of your labor, okay? When we were an agrarian society, if you did not get up every morning and plow the fields and sow the crops and fertilize them and do everything you needed to do, you didn't eat. That was the result of your labor. If you had a bountiful crop, you then would barter with the butcher. You would barter with the guy that grew tomatoes or corn or whatever. And you would then be able to have variety in your diet. If you were lazy, which is really the opposite of work, you would grow just enough food for yourself or not even enough food for yourself. But if you were growing corn and you did not have a bountiful harvest because you were lazy, your neighbors did not like you because they could not barter for you to have some corn because you had enough, just barely enough for yourself. And you could not barter for milk, you could not barter for eggs, you could not barter for anything that you didn't have in your own little farm. And so you need to understand that money is not the root of all evil. Money is the fruit of your labor. And that's the first thing you must understand in order to have a money consciousness. Because if you do not understand that money is the fruit of your labor, you will never, ever have it. You will repel it with your thoughts. So what Alan discovered is that people like Henry Ford, John D. Rockefeller, and Andrew Carnegie, they were so focused on money that what happens from reading your statement is two things. Number one is, well, three. Number one is you'll get crystal clear on your goal. You'll know exactly what you want. Number two is you will become completely laser focused. Number three is you will be goal directed because you'll have the success blinders on. You won't be able to look this way. You won't be able to look that way. Everybody zigzags. Well, I'm going to tell you how to stop zigzagging. Have a crystal clear goal. You have a crystal clear goal, you can make everything happen. And when these people focused on money, they began focusing on money. And when you focus only on money, you tend to treat people differently. You tend to look at people as to what they can do for you instead of looking at them in a different way. And so we don't focus just on creating a statement about money, although money is important. We create a statement that encompasses 4 areas of life: our financial and career, our family and our relationships, our health and our fitness, and contribution, growth, and spirituality. And so my statement incorporates all 3 of those, all 4 of those. Contribution is what I'm doing right now. My health is I am a lean, fit, muscular, 170-pound man that works out 3 times per week without fail. My relationship goals is on a separate relationship statement, which we'll discuss at some future call. So if you read the book and you're not reading your statement out loud, you can't just go like this. You can't go, you know, it is February 20, 2017. You can't even read it silently. It has no impact. It will not do anything for you. It'll take so many years of repetition for that thought to be embedded in your subconscious mind that by then you'll be dead. So it must be done with emotion, okay? And you must actually see yourself in possession of the things in your statement. So at some point you probably saw me closing my eyes because I was visualizing those things I want. And that's right in the chapter on desire. Napoleon Hill says in number 5, see yourself in possession of the money that you put in your statement. Now our statement encompasses the 6 things. 1, a clear and definite goal with a deadline. 2, what we intend to do. Okay? I easily and effortlessly accomplish all my tasks, which includes creating an imperative important list daily. 20 contacts per day, 10 presentations per day, and 15 new clients per week, thus ensuring my success. That's what I intend to give in return for the money. And so Andrew Carnegie shared with Napoleon Hill what he felt were the 2 most important reasons why he became the wealthiest man in the world. And that was, number 1, is he had a definite main purpose. And in the beginning, Mr. Carnegie would created a written statement of his goal and read it out loud until he had so disciplined his mind that he was able to focus on his goal. He had developed the money consciousness, and he no longer needed it because he had disciplined his mind by daily reading. And the second thing he did is he had a mastermind group that consisted of between 20 to 50 people. Now, his original mastermind group consisted of only 4 people, and they would meet daily, and they would discuss ideas on how to create a steel company. And not all these people did not have money. They brought different talents to the group, but what they all were is they all harmonized with the idea of focusing on developing a steel company. Later on, later on, Andrew Carnegie's group consisted of between 20 to 50 people in his mastermind, and all these people brought different types of specialized knowledge. As Napoleon Hill says in the book, specialized knowledge is something that can be acquired. You don't have to learn it. You can actually pay people that have it. So you don't need to become an accountant. You can hire an accountant. You don't need to become an attorney. You can hire an attorney. You don't need to be a great marketer. You can hire a great marketer. However, I do suggest that you become a great marketer, because a great marketer is really the key to all success. So let me share with you some of the notes that I took from a conversation that I had recently with my mentor. And maybe you'll begin to understand these concepts a little differently. Alan said that Think and Grow Rich is really a personal development seminar. Okay, probably the best one in the world. One of the things that Napoleon Hill did is he nailed it. Okay, he nailed everything. He interviewed. Now, you may or may not know this, and I've read Think and Grow Rich seriously read it since the age of 22. And let me tell you what Mr. Lou Segro would do to make sure that we read each chapter. So each week at the mastermind meeting, he would call on one of us to read the book, to read from the book, that chapter that we were studying. If he felt that you hadn't read the book enough, he would ask you to read that chapter every night out loud for 30 days. Now, if you want to master something, read it out loud for 30 days. Guess what? You'll master it really quick. Now, since I was the youngest guy in the group, I like to go and play pool with my buddies on Friday night and on Saturday and Sunday. And I liked having my beer, and I liked going to the racetrack. And I liked football, and I liked to play, to gamble on football and hockey. Hated basketball because I lost a fortune on that. And so I had a pretty active social life on my time off, and I never really got around to reading everything. But hey, listen, I'm a 22-year-old guy. Discipline isn't really that strong in a 22-year-old guy, even with my military background. First thing I said to myself when I left the military is I will never again wake up at 5 a.m. I will never wake up at dawn again. I hated that. So anyway, the first thing he did is he made me read it a bunch of times. So I will tell you that I have read this book for many, many years and have a complete understanding. And it really, one of the things that Napoleon Hill did is that Andrew Carnegie told him, don't just interview these people that I'm going to introduce you to. And ultimately, Napoleon Hill interviewed 500 people of the wealthiest people. I mean, we're talking about that Andrew Carnegie and John D. Rockefeller's wealth still exceeds the wealth of Bill Gates, Zuckerberg, Warren Buffett, Bezos. You name, you go look at the top 400 Forbes list, their wealth was 6 times greater in today's dollars. 6 times. That's 600% greater. That's a lot of money. Why? Because they had these principles. So Napoleon Hill got a letter. He went and interviewed John D. Rockefeller, John Wanamaker, John Wrigley, Thomas Alva Edison, Edwin Barnes, and all these individuals. And not only that, but Andrew Carnegie also said to him, I want you to interview the individuals that didn't succeed. I want you to interview people who are not successful so that you can see exactly why they failed. And so that's exactly what he did. So by the time, before he died, Mr. Hill had interviewed over 25,000 people. And what he did is he had a form that he would give these people saying, you know, what do you think was your biggest success? What do you think was your biggest failure? Why do you think you succeeded? Why do you think you failed? And he kept meticulous records. But it was from the 500 people that succeeded that he pulled out these principles. And there's currently 17 principles of success. So this is the best personal development seminar that you could ever attend. And you can get it for free. You can download a PDF online because it's part of the public domain now. There's no more patent, no more trademark on the book, copyright. What's interesting is that Napoleon Hill made very little money from Think and Grow Rich because he made one crucial mistake. He gave the copyright to his wife, and she later on divorced him. And so for a few years, he had the renewals. Remember, when the book first came out, it sold millions. This book has sold more than 100 million copies to date. So there was a fortune. And he didn't get it because he loved her so much that he gave her the copyright. And when she divorced him, she gave him exactly nothing. And so people say he died broke. He did not die broke. Mr. W. Clement Stone put him on a contract for 10 years at $1.5 million per year from his insurance company, Combined Registry Company. For 10 years, Napoleon Hill was responsible for turning that company with 1,000 agents into a billion-dollar company. When he joined the company, they were doing about $50 million. When he left the company, they were doing somewhere around $800 million 10 years later. And I'll share with you, if you attend these calls, exactly what he did. Because one of my mentors, Paul J. Meyer, spent time with W. Clement Stone and had the opportunity to meet him. And I'll tell you, it's a funny story how he met him. I'll tell you at some other call. But it is a personal development seminar. Every person who has this book has created more millionaires and billionaires than any other book of its kind, and more millionaires than Microsoft, Facebook, Google, Uber now, you name the company once Uber goes public. So it really, the principles in this book work. It's not bullshit. And if somebody tells you it is, that's their limiting belief. So every personal development seminar guy or motivational speaker, Tony Robbins, Bob Proctor, Zig Ziglar, John Maxwell, Brendan Burchard, Tony Robbins, all of them, and there's more. Dennis Waitley, there's so many out there. They all started with Think and Grow Rich. Earl Nightingale, of course, all of them started with Think and Grow Rich. This is the main book that they all came through. And there's so many success stories. Damon John at age 15 read Think and Grow Rich. By age 20, he formed FUBU, and of course, he's on Shark Tank. Oprah read the book 13 times. Cactus Jack, who was on Shark Tank, he started reading the book when he was 16 years old, and he still attests to it. Kenny Norton, who is, by the way, rest in peace, Mr. Muhammad Ali. Kenny Norton, who is the only man to ever have knocked out and broken Muhammad Ali's jaw, read Think and Grow Rich. Liberace. There's so many. There's so many individuals. There's a laundry list of people, both from history and from current day, who have read Think and Grow Rich and utilize the principles and become successful in all areas of life, all earned riches, all achievement. All achievement, doesn't matter what area of life. These principles work. So the first thing is, let's go back to when Napoleon Hill met Andrew Carnegie, and let's take a look at what principles were involved. When Napoleon Hill met Andrew Carnegie, the first thing that Andrew Carnegie did is he explained to him how he succeeded. And then he asked him a question. Would he be willing to spend the next 20 years of his life writing down and indexing and chronicling these principles of success before these individuals faded from history? Now, why was it so critical that Mr. Carnegie wanted to capture this information from these people? Well, let's take a look at that period in time. Every single person that is in that book did not have money. They were not sons of rich people. They did not have a great education. In fact, they had a substandard education. Thomas Edison, I think he only went to third grade. Andrew Carnegie, limited education. All of them learned after they left school. They all worked from a young age. And they were all self-educated. Now, does anybody know what was the biggest contribution that Andrew Carnegie made to America? He's responsible for most of the money given to libraries. Our library system owes a great deal of debt to Andrew Carnegie donating money to the libraries. He had an extensive library. And when Mr. Hill walked into his library to talk to him, he asked him, he was impressed with his amount of books in his library. And he said, have you read those books? He said, pretty much. He did not stop learning. So the first thing he asked him is, would you be willing to take on this philosophy and bring it to the world? And it will require 20 years of your life and more. You probably will not receive a dime of compensation because most people that do this type of work do not get compensated or recognized for at least 100 years after their death. And if they achieve wealth, it is purely by accident. And he gave him a minute to make a decision. And of course, we know that Mr. Hill said yes. So what was the first principle? The principle of decision. Now, why do some people hesitate at making decisions? Well, when you don't know what you want, when you don't have a definite main purpose that you read out loud and it's in your conscious mind, you will not be able to make a fast decision because you don't know what you want. And so it's going to be easy to pull you this way and that way. My mentor, Paul J. Meyer, used to say that you're either living out of your plan of action or somebody else's. You see, there is no standing still. If you don't know what you want, somebody else who has a powerful goal will draw you towards them, and you will begin following them. In fact, that's what you're doing when you go to work. You're helping somebody else achieve their goal, and hopefully their goal is aligned with yours, but not necessarily always. So the first thing he tested Mr. Hill on was his ability to make a decision. Now, does anybody know what was the second principle that Mr. Hill was tested on by Mr. Carnegie? You're all unmuted if you want to speak. Some of you can unmute yourselves. You know how to do that, right? All right. The second principle was the habit of going the extra mile. Because would you, if Andrew Carnegie, the richest man in the world, told you that he wanted you to work for free for 20 years, the only thing he would do is give you letters of recommendations and help you with some train fare and cab fare, small amounts of money for transportation. Because remember, these people lived all over the United States. You know, they lived all over the United States. So what was the means of transportation back in 1908? It wasn't the automobile yet, so it was by train. It was by horse or it was by buggy. So, you know, long trips. So that's why he said 20 years. Now, today you don't need to do 20 years if you want to accomplish this because of the internet and telephones and video like this. But he told him for 20 years. So what was it? It was the habit of going the extra mile. That was the second principle, of doing more than what you're being paid to do. Since he was being paid nothing and he was promised nothing, that was what the second test was. Would you be willing within a minute to take on this task, decide, and two, are you willing to go the extra mile even though there may not be one dime of compensation? Now I ask you, if your employer asked you to take on a project at work for 20 years and he said, I'm not going to pay you, how willing would you be to do that? That's a tough question. I asked myself that question, and the answer was I probably wouldn't do it. I would not work for 20 years without compensation. So Mr. Hill had to pay for his own way while he did the research. And most of what he did was training, sales, training, and selling. The one concept that Napoleon Hill put in the book is the first concept, which is thoughts are things. This is what Andrew Carnegie wanted to share with Napoleon. He said, the first thing you must understand is that thoughts are things. And he tossed that to him as a casual idea to see if he would pick it up. And when he did, he expounded on it. He said he believed firmly that you can create riches in your own mind. In fact, he said you cannot create riches anywhere else but first in your mind. It must first happen, it must mentally happen before it can be physically happen. And so he believed that. He felt that you could take any idea and make it into a fortune using these principles. So after Mr. Hill said yes, he invited him to his home and he asked him the question. So I ask you, are you crystal clear on your goals? Do you know what you want to accomplish in the next 12 months? Now, when we create our statement, we don't focus on a 5-year goal, which was originally what Napoleon Hill talked about. Also, if you notice, my statement does not have any future tense words. It doesn't say I will or anything that invokes future tense, because the subconscious mind does not know the difference between an imagined event and the real one. And so everything is in present tense. In addition to that, we focus on the 4 areas of life that I talked about, and we also we have a deadline. So we use all the 6 steps in the formula, but even with the old formula, you can achieve success. However, it will take longer, because it's like saying, I'm going to do this tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. I will. I will is the same way. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to have somebody from the Mastermind group, if they'd be so kind, just say their statement just to give somebody else an idea of what they want. So Andrea, would you be so kind?
Sure. It is December 31st, 2016, and I, Andrea Wonder Woman Mayer, am so happy and grateful now that I am receiving over $10,000 per month residual income from my global Arbonne business as a regional vice president. I easily and effortlessly accomplish my daily tasks, which include 3 new contacts, 3 follow-ups, 1 presentation, and weekly sales over 650 with 3 new preferred clients. I am a magnet for 3 new National Vice President Caliber Business Builders Monthly, thus ensuring my success. I am a disciplined, organized, laser-focused, scheduled, punctual leader who completes all my tasks timely. I am experiencing joy each day, knowing that what I am doing is being of service to others and to myself. I maintain 135 pounds, sexy, lean body, and maximum energy by eating healthy and exercising 3 mornings weekly and more. I am a worthy, deserving, spontaneous, and beautiful woman of action that is open to receive all that has been given me and more. Due to my genuine effort, I am now experiencing unparalleled abundance, time and financial freedom, and passion. I am now enjoying the exciting pleasure of vacations on tropical beaches and driving my new white GLA 250 Mercedes SUV down the tree-lined drive to my 5,000 square foot 2-story home with large glass windows, open plan kitchen, living, dining room that lead to a patio with an in-ground heated pool on 40 acres, and everything resolves in my favor. I enjoy a loving, steamy, open-minded, positive, romantic mastermind with Al. I am now daily envisioning, planning, and organizing my plan to reach a 10-wide executive national vice president nation with a net worth over $10 million by my birthday, November 14, 2019, and family world travel. I am a world-class speaker at GTC, where I bring the house to their feet with singing, dancing, laughing, and inspiring them to be great. I've created an organization skyrocketing the self-esteem of young men and women, teaching them how to help themselves and others. Thank you, God, for it is done.
It is done.
It is done.
Okay. So I'd like to get some feedback from whoever's on the call regarding when they hear the statement, what goes through your mind. And that way I can give you more insight and help you perhaps in creating your own statement.
Hi, my name is Lami Espes. I'm from Chicago. I'm a real estate investor and real estate broker.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Great meeting you guys. Loved, finding you on the Facebook. I read my first time at the book about 15 years ago. Barely spoke English at that time. I was working for $10 an hour. Within 1 year, I got my real estate broker license, doubled my income. It took me about 10 years due to the market crash to get into the top 1% of brokers in the city. I bought houses. I lost everything in 2010. Since 2012, I started buying again real estate. Since 2012, I created about $100,000 in net worth and making a couple $100,000 a year. This year I should make about $500,000 building now. I'm a developer. That was my dream when I read first the book. But what I wanted to say is I probably read the book about 10 times, and I've always studied. In a mastermind group that I have with realtors from all over the country, we studied the book I I think over a couple months or 3 months, because we read the chapter once a week, and we read the statement. But our statement was nowhere close to yours, guys. We followed the book guideline, and the statement pretty much encompassed only the income, not the other parts of the life that like you are doing. So I see now, why I failed a lot in life. It seems like I won, but I didn't, because I'm a single mom. I'm not dating, or I don't have relationships, and it seems like I've always worked, and that's it. So while I accomplished a lot in the money side, and on the family side aside, or what you guys are doing, traveling, I didn't have the time for anything else. So I see now how that was missing. I mean, I knew that something was missing all the time. I was crushing because of the work. And I love the way your statement is. I'm doing Tony Robbins, landmark education, you name it, all kinds of seminars. And I could pick up a little bit of, the personal life, how to put part of the personal life in the life, but it was still, like I said, from some reason, everything was not coming together. And today, listening to you, seeing how your statements encompasses every area you feel, I don't exercise, it includes that part, like your being of service, which I am. I teach investment seminars and mindset seminars, interestingly enough, and Think and Go Rich. But really, this statement got to me today. I mean, I was just thinking like how to ask you to get a copy of the recording to really listen to your statement, and to the very nice lady before that spoke, her statement, to create mine. So this is extremely empowering, seeing that you can actually put every area of your life in the statement, and also create the self-belief. Because as you were reading it first time, the statement, in my head was like, oh my gosh, this guy has a lot of self-esteem. I mean, he's confident, that's kind of what it got into my mind, right? Because I'm okay talking about money, but not about my personal life. So I could see how the self-confidence could increase in other areas besides the money, which I'm very strong. So on the business side, I'm very strong, but not on the others.
What was your first name again? I'm sorry.
Lumi, L-U-M-I.
L-U-M-I. Okay.
It's a longer name, but I go by Lumi. Lumi is
That's okay. It's fine. My long name is Bert.
Nice meeting you, Bert. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like you, up until about 2008, I spent from 2003 to 2008, I worked 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I went out maybe once a week, got drunk with my friends, and then was hungover the next day, and that was kind of like my day off. And then by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I was back working again, and I would work till 3, 4 in the morning. Time did not exist for me. And my social life was very limited because I was focused, after my divorce, I was focused on my finances. And that's been my thing. And when I met Alan in 2008, and he shared with me, there's a recording where, I made a lot of money, and we focus in the statement. We go way beyond what Napoleon Hill did.
You're right.
You have to know what your personality type is. You have to understand that between the age of 0 and the age of 5, you're a little tape recorder, and you're being. And so whatever limiting beliefs your parent had, they pass them along to you. And whatever limiting beliefs their parents had, your grandparents, they passed it along to your parents. So limiting beliefs are passed on generation to generation to generation. That's why what you'll notice is that people like Ford, Rockefeller, they stopped it. Their parents were broke, their parents were uneducated, their parents were this, that, and everything. And they broke the mold because they understood that we have one gift, well, 2, but one gift that we were given at birth, and that's the ability to direct and control our minds to whatever ends or means we want. And the second gift we were given is the ability to choose. You can choose to control your mind. The belief that you heard, the confidence, comes from 2 things. 1, the purpose of autosuggestion is very simple. Autosuggestion does one thing. It creates belief in yourself, your abilities, and in the goal. If you want to earn $500,000 a year or $1 million a year, you will never earn it until you believe that you can earn it. I'll give you an example. Right now, my goal by July 1st for this month is $50,000 in income. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's just for one segment of a business that I have. When I first did this back in May, I had set a goal to earn $5,000 in 1 week from this new business. And I really didn't know how to do it. I really had no idea, and that's okay. That's actually where you want to be. So I called. I had a buddy visiting me who makes about $4,000, $5,000 a year, and so I'm sorry, $4,000 or $5,000 a month. He makes like $50,000, $60,000 a year, not even that. So I wanted him to get an idea of this science, and I said, Phil, do you think that I can make $5,000 in a week? His answer was, well, it might take you a little bit longer. Might take you 2 weeks, 3, but you'll do it. I know you can do it. Now, I recognized immediately, who was he really talking about? Me or him?
No, him.
Him. That's his belief, right? So I called Alan. Okay? I do a mastermind call with Alan and Derek once a month, and I asked Alan, I said, Alan, I set a goal to make $1,000 this week. What do you think was Alan's response? Now, Alan makes $1.5 million per month, and Derek makes $60,000 per month. What do you think was his answer?
Of course.
He said, why did you set your goal so low?
Okay.
You see, to him, when you make $1.5 million a month, how much is that per day?
Like, I think it's 200, right? Or
$50,000. I'm sorry. Yeah, $50,000 per day, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, $50,000 per day. So $5,000 to him is, as Jackie Gleason used to say, a mere bag of shells, right? So what's the difference? My friend doesn't believe that you can do $5,000 in a week. Therefore, he'll never do it. So what has to happen first is you must have the belief first. How do we get the belief? There's only one way, unfortunately. Does anybody know what that is?
Well, you create it. You change your belief system.
But how do you do that?
Well, by writing the statements and reading it loud.
Right.
So you create affirmations so every time you have a negative thought, you change it into a positive affirmation or, positive statement.
Right. Chapter 4, autosuggestion. Yeah. Autosuggestion is the way to change your beliefs. Motivation is temporary, like taking a bath. That's why you have to do it every day. What Napoleon taught us was how to make permanent changes. You see, take the word habit and replace it with program. What you're doing is you're creating a new program in your mind. By constant repetition of that statement, your brain, your conscious mind, is going to reject it at first. You're going to say, I make $100,000 a month. It's going to say, Bert, the most you've made is $60,000 in a month. How are you going to do $100,000? And so what do I say? I said, I don't care. You figure it out. Divine inspiration, infinite intelligence will help me. I don't care. But if I say it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, eventually the subconscious mind allows the thoughts to start coming in. And when the subconscious mind realizes that this is our dominant thought, what happens? Well, then we begin to look. See, right now, you're filtering out all the things that don't harmonize with your thinking. So I'll give you this as an example. Let's say you invite people to your party, and you've got green people and you've got purple people. And you believe that green people are thieves, but you invite them to be socially acceptable. And so during the party, everybody's having fun, and you're always a little bit leery because there's a couple of green people around, and you're kind of looking at them. And then next morning you wake up and your Rolex watch is missing. And it's a $25,000 presidential. And you're like, oh my God, and you go to your wife, did you see my watch? You ask all the kids, you run around crazy looking for your watch. And you go, you know what? I had those green people last night. I'll bet you one of the green people took my watch. They probably got into the bedroom and into my jewelry box. I should have put it away, knowing that green people were here. Now, is that a true statement? No. But it's what you believe. And if you believe it, what will you begin to see?
Green people.
The bad things that green people do.
Yeah.
And so we filter. If you believe that your husband and wife is negative, unmotivated, an asshole, guess what you're going to see? You're only going to see the things they do that are unmotivated assholes. That's all you're going to let in. because that's what you believe. So the first thing to be able to change is you must change the way you see people. And you must change how you see others. Dale Carnegie, in his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, said that if you want a dog to be a good dog, don't name it Killer. Give the dog a good name. In other words, have positive expectations. If you want your children to do well in school, have positive expectations that they'll do well in school. So by repetition of our statement over and over and over again, unceasingly, every day, a minimum of 5 times out loud, you will begin to believe what you say, and then it'll sound like ours sounds. And we teach you that in the Mastermind. We spend lots of time on this. And we also focus on the self-confidence formula. Now, I'll bet you dollars to donuts that nobody here, other than Mastermind people, read the self-confidence formula. And we modified the self-confidence formula based on what Alan has taught us. Now, remember, Alan has been doing this for 30 years. He has trained over 300,000 people in writing a statement. Alan is a cripple. He was born with one leg, and his right hand is a flipper. It looks like this, a thumb, and then these fingers are fused together. He was born like this because his mother took a medication to help her not have a miscarriage. Do you think that somebody who was born with those kinds of disabilities would succeed in life? No. They would, because growing up they called him Peg Leg, Captain Hook, Hippity Hop. He had to wear a helmet in school because if he fell, he'd crack open his head. So imagine going to a regular school. This was not in the era of disability, separate schools. He was in with the general population. Nobody ever picked him for a game. When they got Alan, they were like, oh, we got Alan. He can't run. What are we going to do with him? He's got to play. He's part of the team. So for his entire life, he lived with this. So when he found Think and Grow Rich, and he found Joseph Green, he grabbed it like a bulldog, and he said, I will do whatever it takes to master these principles. Napoleon Hill spent 22 years of his life studying these rich people, and he cataloged, indexed, and chronicled what they did. So the least I can do is learn it. So, and he started doing the self-confidence formula. Because what is self-confidence? Does anybody know what it really is?
Believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm. What's the second principle in Think and Grow Rich? Faith. Faith. Belief in yourself. What's the opposite of fear? Self-confidence. People would say courage, but what is courage? Self-confidence. So you can never have too much self-confidence. So the self-confidence formula, for those of you that are not familiar with it, is in the chapter on faith, not desire. Sorry, I made a mistake earlier. The formula, the definite main purpose statement or definite major purpose statement, is in the chapter on desire. The self-confidence formula is in faith. And both of those appeared as early as 1928 when he wrote The Laws of Success. Now, if you haven't read Laws of Success, I suggest that you read everything that Napoleon Hill wrote. This is The Laws of Success. It's not exactly a thin book. But in this book, he wrote self-confidence formula and the statement. And you'll get some insight. So the self-confidence formula sounds like this. First, I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action towards its attainment, and I here and now promise to render such action. Second, I know that the dominating thought of my mind will reproduce itself in outward physical action and transform itself into physical reality. Therefore, I concentrate my thoughts for 30 minutes daily upon the task of thinking of the person I intend to become, thereby creating in my mind a clear mental picture of that person. Third, I know through the principle of autosuggestion that any thought or idea that I persistently hold in my mind will reproduce itself in outward physical action and transform itself into physical reality. Therefore, I devote 10 minutes daily to demanding of myself the development of self-confidence. Third, I have clearly written down a description of my definite chief aim in life, and I shall never stop until I have developed sufficient self-confidence for its attainment. Fifth, I know that no wealth or position can long endure unless built upon truth and justice. Therefore, I engage in no transaction that does not benefit all whom it affects. I succeed by attracting to myself the forces I wish to use in the cooperation of other people. I induce others I eliminate hatred, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism by creating love for all humanity. Because I know that a negative attitude towards others can never bring me success. I cause others to believe in me because I believe in them and in myself. I sign my name to this formula, commit it to memory, repeat it aloud daily with full faith that is continually influencing my thoughts and actions, affirming that I am a self-reliant, powerful, confident, and successful man of action. I thank you, God, for it is done. Now, you have to read both of those. You read your statement first, followed by the formula. That is the magic of Think and Grow Rich. That's the special sauce. That's the recipe. Why? Because you just affirm that you're going to, first, I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my destiny in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action towards attainment, and I here now promise to render such action. So, just doing the statement is not enough. You must also do the self-confidence formula. Yeah, it's a lot. Sure it is. It takes... Your statement should not be more than a minute long, and the self-confidence formula is approximately 1.5 minutes. So if you read both of those, it shouldn't take you more than 3 minutes. If you read it 5 times, that's 15 minutes a day for programming your mind to achieve your goals. So that's the secret. And in 2008, I spent a month with Alan, and we worked on my statement back then. And the other thing that most people lack is a feeling of worthiness. So our statements incorporate a lot of things that are not in the original statement. For example, we determine what your personality type, because your personality type will determine what your comfort zone is. So for example, my personality is what's called a monkey personality or a promoter personality, which means I love to talk to people. I love to be the center of attention in any groups. I'm charismatic. I'm all those things that a promoter personality has. However, a promoter personality is not a very disciplined person. So if you heard my statement, you know that I address that in my statement. I am a disciplined, organized, scheduled, responsible, punctual, single-minded, and laser-focused leader. If you're a lion personality is a leader personality. They tend to be great at accomplishing tasks, but they suck at being with people. So if you're a lion personality, it would sound like I am a people person. I am charismatic. And we would focus on developing your weakness, because your weakness, your strength becomes your comfort zone. So if you love to do tasks, whenever you have a problem, you're going to go do a task. If you have a problem and you're a monkey, you're going to go out and hang out with your friends or call somebody. And that's your comfort zone. And so we work at strengthening those things that we're not comfortable with. And we incorporate that into our statement. The statement is very complex. It's taken years to develop it, but it's the most powerful thing that you can ever have in your life. And also you must understand that if you do it on your own, you have to be very careful, because one word can change the meaning. And I'll tell you a quick story. Napoleon Hill at one time created a statement, and he wrote down that he wanted to earn $100,000 working for this company. Now, previously to that, he had used the word received. What I think he uses that in his statement, in the original statement. I have in my possession. Okay, in the original statement, I have in my possession. But he changed it to earn. And sure enough, he earned $100,000. And he was affirming that in his statement. And he tells you in the book, read it only 2 times. But that's because he wants the minimum from you, because he knew most people would not do this, because most people don't have the persistence. So he only suggested 2. But he read it 5, 10, 15 times a day. Go listen to the old recordings on YouTube, and you'll hear it. Read it 5 times, 10 times, 15 times a day. And later in later calls, I'll share with you all about that more. But so at the end of the day, he earned the $100,000. But the company found a loophole in the contract, and he never received the $100,000. And he said, I wonder if I had changed the word from earned to in my possession or received, if it would have changed anything. But he didn't take any chances. And from that day forward, he never again used the word earned. And that's the importance of one single word that you begin to affirm every day. Because the subconscious mind is like a 3-year-old child. 3. Can't do it with this hand. I have a broken finger. 3-year-old child. And so you must tell it literally what you want. And so what we do in the Think and Grow Rich Mastermind group is the first thing I do is I give you a template which follows this formula. I don't make it available to everybody because I did that already. For a year, I gave it to everybody for free, and you know what happened? They wasted my time because they weren't serious. So now what I do is I have a mastermind group of people that actually invest some money, not a lot, but I want them to have some investment in doing this. And it's completely incredible, the results that the people are getting. I mean, I won't even get into it on this call. Maybe I'll invite some of them into the call next time so they can share with you the results of the mastermind group. Let's put it this way. One gentleman who had been unemployed ended up getting an offer for 5 jobs. One gal had put in her statement that she wanted to find a job making $15,000 a month. She got an offer from a major company called Microsoft. They offered her $14,000, and she called me, she messaged me saying, Bert, I put 15, I only got 14. I go, don't worry about it. The universe, infinite intelligence owes you, another $1,000 a month. And then she went back and realized that she had recommended other people and that the company pays her a fee for recommending people. So she says, I earn more than $15,000 a month because now I get a monthly finder's fee every month based on these 3 people that I recommended to the company. I mean, there's other success stories. Those are just 2 of people finding jobs. There's other people who have created an application to revolutionize the world. There's other people involved in real estate. There's people who are making tons of money in real estate. I got a bunch of Keller Williams agents. I have the #1 real estate agent in Michigan. I have 3 platinum partners. If you know anything about Tony Robbins Platinum Partners, in order to be a platinum partner, it costs you $10,000 a month to be a platinum partner. So you better be making some money to be able to afford it. Everybody in the group pretty much has come the same way through the personal development field. So most of them have been to at least 1 UPW, if you know what that is. Tony Robbins is great. They're all good at motivation. He tells you he's not a motivational speaker, but, he is. Because the key is repetition, and nobody really talks about that because repetition is boring. So let's get now to the secret in Think and Grow Rich. Does anybody here have any idea of what the secret that Napoleon Hill talks about is in Think and Grow Rich? Anybody?
I believe it's believe and succeed.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Andrea, are you on the call?
Yep.
What do you think it is?
The secret to Think and Grow Rich would be faith, belief in yourself.
Yeah. Through repetition of orders, you will begin to develop belief in yourself. Now, hold on one second. I want to share something with you from a great book that if you haven't read, I strongly urge you to do. Darn it. Okay, so this is a great book called The Magic of Believing by Claude Bristol. Okay? Claude Bristol was a newspaper reporter. And when he started exploring all this mind stuff, he looked at it from the eyes of a skeptic. Because prior to this, he had investigated people that were in the business of fortune telling, of voodoo, and things like that. And so he had a preconceived notion of what it was all about, and he felt that it was all a scam until he started really digging in. And he finally realized that all religions, all cults, all groups have their basis in belief, that it starts with belief. And he even looked at the propaganda used during World War II to understand what it was really about. And so in this book, he said the following: in all religions, cults, and orders, There is an obvious prescribed ritual in which the repetition of words, mystical or otherwise, plays an important part. And this brings us to the law of suggestion. Forces operating within its limits are capable of producing phenomenal results. That is, the power of suggestion, either auto-suggestion, your own to yourself, or heterosuggestion coming to you from outside sources, starts the machinery into operation, causing the subconscious mind to begin its creative work. And right here is where the affirmations and repetitions play their part. Repetition of the same chant, the same incantations, the same affirmations lead to belief. And once that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen. And so you see, you will not take action on anything until you believe you can do it. If you're procrastinating on something, it's because you believe that the pain of doing that task is greater than the benefit. And so you must convince yourself by affirming it every day that you can do it. And once you do that, you will begin taking action. There's other ways of increasing the action. You can use affirmations like I will act now and other tools that we teach. But the whole science is really the science of belief. And you must begin to believe in yourself and in your abilities. So the secret, because he says, and the second part, you will recognize it the moment it reaches your mind. You know when it will reach your mind? From constant repetition of the statement, you will begin believing it. That's when it reaches your mind. And so there's many, Earl Nightingale said, somebody said, the closest was what Napoleon Hill said. He said, conceive, believe, and achieve. Look in the last chapter, the chapter on the 6 ghosts of fear. Believe, conceive, believe, and achieve. Conceive of the idea, the goal, the definite purpose that you want. Believe it, and then you will achieve it. That's the key. And why? And then why? Because if you don't believe in yourself and in your abilities, you'll never take the action. You can't. You don't believe it. In the book it says, there's a poem, if you think you're beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. I read that poem out loud every day for almost 20 years. I put it right by my door. Every day before I went out that door, I read that poem. And every time I got home, I read it again. Put it in a picture frame. Put it right next to the mirror. There was a mirror at the door where I fixed my tie. So you must understand that this is really the secret to success is to, 1, decide what you want. 2, write it down in present tense. 3, begin affirming it. And do so with everlasting persistence. Everlasting. You must do it until you believe it. And you must approach it. You must say your statement in a feeling of faith. And then, like Lumi said earlier, every time that a negative thought comes, you must dismiss it. If your brain says, "You're not," how are you going to do that? You have no idea. You say, "Stop it, go away, don't care." And you must have something to say to yourself. That's why memorizing your statement is critical. Critical. Because I can go and take a shower right now, and by the way, I have a laminated copy of my statement. One side has my statement, the other side has the self-confidence formula. And I have it hanging in my bathroom. I have a little suction hook, and I punched a hole in it, and I hang it there. Not because I need it, because it's memorized, but because it reminds me to say it in my shower. I can be driving, and I don't have to look at it. I can go, "It is my birthday, February 20th, 2017, and I, Bert Superman Herna, am so happy and grateful now that I am receiving over $100,000 in monthly residual income from my global enterprise businesses. I easily and effortlessly." I can do it anywhere. You could wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning and say, "Bert, what's your goals?" "It is my birthday, February 20th. Now, here's the challenge for you today. And by the way, I talk to about 50 to 60 people a week on the phone. People that want to get into the Mastermind group. And I have people saying, "Hey, could you send me details about the Mastermind group?" No. No. See, one of the first principles of a mastermind is that all the people must harmonize. That means that you must think the way we think. And we use only the principles in Think and Grow Rich. And some of the things that we do in the mastermind group is, besides mindset, is we also get together and use the minds of other people to help us achieve our goals. I mean, my mentor last year broke $5 million in income in just under 6 years with his company. And he came from a broke commercial real estate developer in California, and he made $5 million. His wife did the same thing. They just bought a home in Kauai, Hawaii on a private beach. Alan Nagel, my mentor, my main mentor, everybody's mentor, he has over $100 million in real estate in Hawaii. I asked him why, and Derek said, because Derek also works with him and his wife, said, because they're not building any more Hawaii. He's making $1.5 million a year. He feeds 300,000 children per day. He contributes money to this foundation called Nourish the Children. He feeds 300,000 children a day around the world. You see, this is not about just you making money. This is about contributing. This is about becoming a leader. You'll achieve what you want. If you write out a statement and you begin affirming it and you join the mastermind, there's no doubt in my mind that you will achieve it. It's just a matter of when you believe it enough. But understand this. This is not something that happens in 30 days. This is not going to happen in 60 days. Alan, in 30 years, has accomplished 16 goals. 16. But here's what Alan does. When he accomplishes a goal, the new goal is to double it. So he doesn't, when he started out with $100,000 a month, next year, when he accomplished it, it was $200,000 a month. Because he has to build the belief. You have to build the belief first. And so 16 goals in 30 years, you may say that's not a lot. But they're huge. They're huge. You know, he told me once, aim for the stars. For what else are they good for? Huge goals, big goals, or as he called it, big kahuna goals. He does a lot of work in South America, so he used a different word than kahuna. The point is that you must believe in your goals. And the other thing that we do in the mastermind group is we also focus on getting people together to mastermind, to come up with better ideas, to create better plans to achieve our goals. The first part of the mastermind group, before we were ready to do that, the mastermind group started really in January, was first to get everybody on the same page. And that's why we really haven't focused too much on the second part. But now the group has progressed to the point where now we can begin expanding on the plans, because now everybody knows the importance of saying their statement and everybody has gotten crystal clear. And so I invite you. So here's the thing that I do. So in talking to all these people every week, the first question I ask them is, would you share your goal with me? Now, I talked recently to a coach who wanted to partner up with me. Now, this is somebody who's coaching other people. And I said, hey, would you share your goals with me? He goes, yeah, I'd like to make more money. I'd like to build my coaching business to about 1,000 people. And I go, what's the deadline for that? He says, I don't know. I'd like to do it by this year. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think if I said I'd like to do it by the end of this year, that it's going to happen? No, not going to happen. Nah, not going to happen. Because I'd like to is not I'm going to. I talked to this individual that has spent more than $500,000 on personal development. And when I asked, what is your goal, they weren't even clear. Why? $500,000. They still don't know what their goal is. What is the first step in the book? Definiteness of purpose. Then what the frig are you doing going to these personal development seminars if you don't know what you want? How can you coach somebody if you don't even know what your goal is? And I talk to people that are being coached by other people, and I ask them, what is your goal? I had a woman tell me she spent $24,000 in coaching over the last 2 years. And I heard her state her goal. And I said, how come you're not clear after 2 years of paying $1,000 a month? They said, it's my job to get clear, not my coach's job. I said, bullshit! I'll get you clear in an hour. How can your coach help you get anything if they don't know what the frig you want? That's a joke. I'm a purple belt in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a black belt in Taekwondo. You know who trained me in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu? Hoyler Gracie. Henzo Gracie. I go to black belts. I don't go to a white belt and say, train me in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. If you can't walk the walk, then don't talk to me. Because the first thing that Paul Meyer taught me was, if you want advice about diamonds, don't go talk to a butcher. If you want advice about butchers, Don't go talk to a diamond guy. Why? Get it from the horse's mouth. Successful people do not ask for opinions. They don't go to their friends and relatives and ask them, hey, do you think this will work? Because what they're going to tell you is from their own experience. And if they've never done it, guess what? They're not going to believe that you can do it. Just like I told you the story about Alan, $5,000 a month. Alan, do you think I can do it? Why so low? If I want to become a great coach, if I want to become a great salesman, I don't go talk to a failure or somebody that was never in sales. I don't care how much book learning you have, because if you get one thing out of Think and Grow Rich, it's that your education does not matter. It's what's in here, your heart, your drive, your willingness to pay the price. I'm not saying education is not good, but I'm just saying that's not the criteria that I measure everything by. So if you want to coach me, I had a 24-year-old kid tell me he wanted to be my life coach. I said, really? How long have you been married? How many divorces have you gone through? How many kids have you raised? Did you make your first million yet? Did you break 100,000? No? I said, my son is just going to turn 27. He made $155,000 last year. I'll learn from him. And he's not a coach. Why? I still don't ask my son for advice about life. He hasn't lived it. Now, if my son was great at Facebook advertising, or if he was good at, which he is, he's better at computer language than I am. I'm skilled in HTML, PHP, JavaScripting, and all that crap online. But he's got some skills that I don't have. So yes, I would go to him in those areas. And if he didn't have enough, I'd go to somebody else. But if he knew nothing about online marketing, why would I waste my time talking to him? If you haven't lived, what are you going to teach me? If you're a relationship coach, you better have been in a few relationships. Makes sense, right? The point is, don't ask people for opinions if they've never done what you're looking to do. Because they're not, just like your parents, if you tell them, hey, I'm going to join a multi-level marketing company, they'll go, multi-level marketing company, that shit's a pyramid. You don't want to do that. Sales, you don't want to go in sales. That's hard work. You want to go to school, get a diploma, and then get a job. Because that's what they were programmed to do. How's that working out for the millennials, by the way? They went to school. They're now not only broke, but they're hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And McDonald's no longer needs people because they have these little kiosks where you actually swipe your credit card and place your order. So all those low-paying jobs that everybody was complaining about that don't exist, they're not going to exist. So you need to think and grow rich. You need to understand that the first thing you need to do is what it says in the book, and that's come up with a definite main purpose, a goal that you will accomplish within the next 12 months or your birthday, whichever comes later. And you must write it out in a statement format, and you must begin repeating it out loud every day. And you must join a mastermind. It's not optional. Andrew Carnegie said the secret to his success was having a definite main purpose and being part of a mastermind. Why is a mastermind important? Why is a Think and Grow Rich mastermind important? Because the most important thing is you will not accomplish anything until your mindset is right. And so a Think and Grow Rich group is focused on three things. One, you must harmonize. You must be in concert with the way everybody else thinks. Because you personally will never earn enough money if you don't associate with people that make more money. When I started the group, I brought in people that are super achievers. When people started hearing their income goals, what happened? Well, here, let me pick on somebody. Andrea, I don't know if this is true about you, so I'm taking a while. Nice hair, by the way. Did your goal go up as a result of being in the mastermind?
Yes, dramatically.
Dramatically. Now, yeah. I know that you put a relationship statement into your, you put a paragraph about your relationship in the statement. Would
Yes.
you be willing to share what has been some of the results of that?
Well, because of the relationship statement, that causes me to look differently at him, to see the good things, which opens up a better communication between us. And yeah, it's dramatically improved for both of us because of it.
And doesn't he love it when you say those nice things out loud?
Yes, he does.
He does. See, we focus not only on creating a statement for you to achieve your goals, we also focus on a statement that we have a template for to help you attract the right person into your life. The reason that most divorces happen is because people go into relationships and they really don't know what they want. So we focus on creating a statement of the things we want in that other person. And so when we're talking to somebody, we can quickly identify whether this person meets our criteria or not. Men fall in love based on looks. We see a beautiful woman with a great body and we're in love. A woman doesn't fall in love that way. And we go into that and we explain that. And so we want to take the focus off of looks and put the focus on who they are. So for me, for example, I know that whatever woman I have in my life has to be positive thinking, open-minded. And I used to say that she must have a statement until Derek said less than 3% of the people have a goal in life. He said, so you're going to have a very small pool of women to choose from. Limiting belief, I guess. He said, open it up. I said, what do you mean? He says, instead of putting that they must have a definite main purpose statement in your relationship statement, put down that they're open to the idea. I said, oh, yeah, that's better. Open to the idea. If you want to meet somebody that doesn't smoke, say they're not a smoker. If you want somebody who's a great cook, put down that they're a great cook. If you want them to have green eyes, blue eyes, red eyes, whatever, put it in your statement. You will draw to yourself that which you set out for yourself. And we work on we use another process to attract business partners, to recruit people into our organization. We have a statement based on building a powerful relationship. If you're in a relationship, just like what Andrea spoke about. So whatever it is, we take you through this process because these principles are applicable in every area of your life. Okay, so anyway, we're over time. This went a little bit longer. I hope you'll pardon me for taking this long. But I really wanted to communicate my passion to you. I wanted to really emphasize how important it is. And if you're interested in the Mastermind or would like to know more about it, I'd be more than happy to talk with you to help you set clear goals. I'll give you a free coaching session. All you need to do is go to the group and under the event in the Think and Grow Rich group or in the community, just put down, hey, Bert, I'd like to chat with you. I'll be more than happy to give you 30 minutes of my time. Even if you decide not to join the Think and Grow, the Next Level Mastermind group, I'll be more than happy to help you with clarifying your goals for you. I'll do that as my way of thanking you for being on the call. But I must emphasize to you that the key, as Napoleon Hill said, persistence is to the character of man what carbon is to steel. You know anything about steel, you can't make steel without carbon. So thank you, everybody, for your time on a Saturday. And hopefully it's a beautiful day by you. And I will see you on next Saturday's call. It'll continue on 10 o'clock unless I post otherwise. It'll be a Zoom call, the same. So jot down this information, store it, put it on your cell phone, set an alarm for it. Next week we'll go into more detail about auto-suggestion and the other principles in the book. I stopped going chapter by chapter, but I do cover them anyway. And, if you have anything that you'd like me to discuss, I'm more than happy to do it. I try to keep these calls strictly to Think and Grow Rich. The Mastermind group is now moving to different ideas in marketing and making money because everybody's now at the level where they know what their goals are and they already have the habit of saying it. The key here is you're developing habits. Motivation is like getting in your car and having to get yourself psyched up. It's like me walking into my car and going, okay, drive, drive, drive. I need to drive. Yes, 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 drive. Okay? Don't need to do that. I get in my car. I have the habit of driving. I put the key in the ignition, I turn it, and I drive. And that's what you need to be focused on, creating the success habits. So you no longer need to think about saying your statement. You can do it. It's a habit. You no longer have to hesitate on or procrastinate because you have the habit of taking action. You have the habit of believing in yourself. You have the habit of everything that needs to be done. What are the habits? The habit of persistence, the habit of using your imagination, the habit of using your subconscious mind, the habit of using sexual transmutation. Nobody even understands sexual transmutation. I'm going to do a call just on sexual transmutation because it is such a powerful tool. Napoleon Hill said the 3 most important emotions that you can use to drive your statement into your subconscious mind are sex, love, and faith, in that exact order. And there's only one relationship on this planet that incorporates all 3 of those emotions, and that's a state of a marriage. or a union, if marriage is not part of it. Two people coming together who love each other, have sex with each other, and believe in each other. And that's the secret to really being super successful. And it'll shorten the time frame for everything. I mean, this doesn't take 10 years. It doesn't take 5 years. Alan said it takes 2 years. 2 years. You need to do this for 2 years. You need to write out a statement, repeat it out loud along with the self-confidence formula for 2 years. Now, some people have done it shorter. This is an average. But on average, it will take you 2 years to get rid of all the negatives, all the bad beliefs, all the bullshit going on, because we're conditioned by a couple of things. There's 5 things we're conditioned by. We're conditioned by, God, I know it so well. How come I didn't come to me? Fear, doubt, worry, indecision, and negative thinking. Fear, doubt, worry, indecision, and negative thinking. So those, and the most powerful one is we're conditioned by our own mistakes. So you have to have a new attitude about your mistakes. And that's something that can be handled through your statement. And we'll show you how to do that. So anyway, thank you again, everybody. I'm glad you joined our call. And I will see you next Sunday. And if you want that time, just go to the group, post it underneath the event in the comments section, and I'll reach out to you later on today or tomorrow. I do have a couple of things to do, so you may not hear from me today. But thank you again for your call, and have a great day. Today has been the best day ever. Bye-bye, everybody.